Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and we're going to do a painting class today for a really cute T-Rex. So I'm going to start by showing you the Traceable. Let's get close up. So this is what the painting kit comes with, is the Traceable. We make it really easy for you to go ahead and trace this out. Also comes with the carbon paper here. So, and I have worked ahead just a little bit so you would not have to watch the tedious process of me tracing out everything. But let's talk about how to prep everything here first. So I do use a couple pieces of Scotch tape. Let's get that to where you can see it. And I start by positioning the transfer paper first. So I tape that down first, just once at the top here and then once at the top here. And then I go ahead and that way I know that the entire canvas is covered. And then I go ahead and put my design on top. So on this one, it's pretty straightforward. It just goes, I just line it up with the top of the paper to the top of the canvas. And again, just 2 more strips of tape, real easy. And then I did go ahead and trim it just a little bit on this side, so you wouldn't have, there's going to be a little bit of excess. So I did go ahead and trim it. And then it's all ready to go. And then your kit comes with a pencil you can use to go ahead and trace over the top of this, or you can use a red pen too. You can see both of those pretty clearly, but every place that there is a line, you're going to trace over the top. So you can see how I've done that already. Now I leave all of this open at the bottom so that you can very easily lift as you go and check your work. And then that way you can check back and make sure that you have completed all of your, let's turn it the right way. What? it's like opposite world with your brain and looking at the camera. So there we go. Now we know that I've done all the work. So I've checked it a few times. I've got all that done. So it's all good now. So what I can do now is I can go ahead and remove this section up here, and then we can go ahead and start to paint. Now I'm going to, if I can find a pair of scissors. I can't. Isn't that weird? I have like a million pairs of scissors, but here's what I did. I just organized my desk. So of course, you know what happens when you organize things. You put things where you can't find them because you put them away. Oh no. Anyway, well, okay. So normally I just cut this, or you can very carefully lift off the back. We'll go ahead and remove this, and then we'll go ahead and start our painting process. Alright, so I've got that off to the side. So here it is. Oops, turn it, whoops, there we go. But one day I'll get it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place this down. I'm going to shift my camera just a little bit. We're going to turn it this way, so we're going to reposition and then get in place, and then I'm going to take the camera down right over the top so that y'all can watch me paint and have a much closer look. So thank you again for joining me. Yes, it's going to be fun. And I'm going to turn the camera. Alright, so here we go. We're going to get there. I did this a while ago, so I know it works. Alright, so there it is. And then I'm going to move my keyboard a little bit here. Get it all repositioned. Alright, so that you're going to have a much closer look. That would be a lot easier to see than if I were way back here. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull up a chair here and get a little bit more comfortable. I swear I am still here. Okay. Alright, so I'm here. Yes. Alright, what day is this? It is, we're going to call this like T-Rex Tuesday. And we're going to have fun. Alright. Get some glasses on here so I can see really well. Oh, so much better. Alright. So let's talk about some of our materials here. Okay, so we do have with our painting kit the brushes that come with this. So I have my mama brush, and then I have my little buddy brush, and then I have my little bit brush. And actually, little buddy is really more, honestly, he looks a little bit more like this. Well, I'm going to find one eventually. Aha! This size. It's a little bit smaller. I have a lot of extra brushes laying around, so this is more really like the little buddy size. About a 1/4 inch flat tack-on brush. Okay. And then I will make sure that I have a bucket of water nearby. And then some paper towels. And then of course we have our paints. So this is our box of paints that comes with the kit. Really nice, very good quality, heavy-bodied acrylic paint. So I love this paint. It's wonderful. All right. So, and then I've got a little tray here that I will use as my palette. So I'll place this here nearby. Okay, so we're going to start with our, and I've got to find my model here. I had it nearby. There it is. Alright, we're going to start with our sky first. So this is a little bit of a different color than I normally have. It's kind of like a really pretty violet sky. So we do have some violet paint. I'm going to go ahead and get that out. And we will do a nice dime-sized dollop of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab some titanium white. I have that in large quantities, so I did go ahead and do a large dollop of that. But that's, if I were y'all just using the little tubes we have, I would just go ahead and do like a 1/4 size dollop of the white, the titanium white. And then, just for fun, let's go ahead and grab just a little hint of some primary cyan blue. You might want just a little dash of that in there as well. Tiny little dime size amount of that too. And then I'd like to have just a little bit of Mars Black nearby too, just in case. I'll put that off to the side. Just a little tiny dime size amount of that. Alright, so here. Now I'm going to go ahead and touch into the water just a little bit, and then touch down on my little paper towel here as well. Now I'm going to grab a nice big dollop of the titanium white, also a little touch of my violet here. And let's push both of those back and forth. So I've got a really nice lavender. And I still have a lot of white nearby too, so that will definitely come in handy as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start here in my sky. I'm going to start with this darkest shade of the lavender and kind of push that out. Just back and forth, nice horizontal stroke here. Then I'm going to grab a little bit more of my white and push that into the mix. And lots of side to side, and as the white kind of pushes into the background, this will look like a little bit of that cloud cover that will be coming across the sky here. I just picked up a little bit more of the titanium white. And push that into the background. Now I'm going to go back into that lavender that we mixed up. Now I want a nice thin edge, so I do a firm press back and forth on my palette here. Check to make sure it's nice and thin. So I'm going to take this and hold it more like a pencil now and come in and around the edge. Then a little bit of cut-in work there. And then I will switch over to the flat side of the brush to just kind of extend that over to the side. It's going to get kind of tiny in here and I want to be a little bit more delicate, so I'll probably switch over to my little bit brush here in just a moment. I'm going to add a little bit of water because I want this to be a bit transparent as I come over my trace, because I don't want to lose my trace. So I'm going to keep this a little bit transparent in here. Kind of do more of a wash right over the top. See how that's still showing through? That's very helpful for beginners. And then where I want it to be a bit more opaque, then I'll switch back over to the flat side of the brush, kind of feather out that stroke, and then lightly touch the top of the canvas. Again, a little bit more of a touch of water. Go back into the lavender that we mixed up. And I'm going to lightly go into this little mouth section here. It almost looks like a little bit of a wash right into that section. And then we can go ahead and switch back over to the flat side of the brush and kind of gently drag this across the surface. So pull out from that line and pull that out kind of side to side. I'm running out of my mix, so I'm going to mix a little bit more. Again, this is the violet and the white. Kind of push that back and forth. A little bit more of the water. Let's go ahead and pull that into the mix. Drag that across. We have some delicate little T-Rex arms here, so we want to be careful to not invade that space too much. Keep the trace still visual to where we can see that. Not lose the nuance of that shape. Pushing in with my little bit, just a little bit of water, and come right back over that just a little bit. Just kind of barely lifting off some of that paint just to make this absolutely visible again. And you can do a little touch with your paper towel, help lift that as well. Taking the sky all the way down. And I'm going to do a little bit more water and then just a light wash all the way across. My trace will show through here. As long as there's a little bit of water, you can see how it is definitely going to peek through. I also have a Sharpie with the kit, so you can always reinforce the line work too with the Sharpie to make it a bit more dramatic and definitely will bleed through the paint. So that's something else that you can do in advance. All right, then we'll continue this all the way across in here. Really nice lavender sky. And hello to everybody out there joining us today. Alright, and then we went to shift over. I'm going over to the other side. I'm going to upside down for just a little bit easier to reach. Again, adding just a touch of water to thin out the paint. Do a light drag across the surface area, and then that way our design work will bleed through. Okay. Alright, now I have a little bit of, this is rough in here, so I'm going to come back in, grab a little bit more of my lavender and my white, and just kind of softly fade that in. I may have a little bit of overpaint here, that's okay. I can still see my trace, and I'm just feathering out those brush strokes. Kind of working in a little bit of a second coat here. And then I want some deeper shades of violet over here on this other side as well. So once I get done with this feathering out, I'm just kind of working this in back and forth. Again, adding just a little bit of water so that even though there's a little bit of an overpaint, it's more of a fluid, horizontal streak going across the sky. So that the line behind it doesn't look broken. Now I'm going to come back in with a little bit more of that violet. And down here at the base, I'm going to go ahead and pull that into the sky on this side. Make it a little bit more dramatic. And I'm going to work that in with a little bit more of the lavender to help soften that out. Feather it out. And a lot of water to kind of help feather it out a little bit, smooth it out. Nice dry brush all the way across here. Alright, so again, it's a little bit more dramatic here. a little bit of a lift in there. That just helps me see my trace a little bit. Also gives me some fun little texture. Back into the side here. Again with a little bit more white and the violet. Just kind of lightly go back in. And you can add a little bit more of the white here too on this side and help feather that out. Just looks like a little bit of cloud cover coming through. Added just a little bit more water to help softly fade that in. Now same brush and just a little bit of the white. I'm going to slightly kind of drag that across. Kind of fade it out to a nice point there. Just a little bit of some clouds coming through. And again on this side, just a nice horizontal stroke, kind of sketch across the sky here. It's got some pretty clouds happening there in that background. It's looking really great. Alright, let's go ahead and start to work into our fun little T-Rex here. Cleaned out my brushes. Now let's talk about that just a little bit. So, got my bucket of water here. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this round and round and round. A little bit of firm pressure that helps release the paint, and then just a quick drag on the edge of the bucket, and then I'll go ahead and dry this off. Nice and clean. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about T-Rex colors. Okay, so we will be using, let's mix up some brown. So we're going to start with some Cadmium Orange. Do a little dime-sized dollop of that. And then to mix up brown, you actually use some of that Mars black with our orange. We'll mix that up in just a moment. And then I'll also want like a khaki color as well, so I'm going to go ahead and mix up some cadmium yellow. Little dime-sized dollop of that. So let's start mixing. So here we go. The brown, let's start there first. We have our cadmium orange and our black. A little touch of our black and our cadmium orange. That's going to bring us to a lovely brown color. Wonderful. And then let's talk about that khaki color next. Let's do some white, some of that cadmium yellow, and a touch of black. Tiny touch of black. So we're going to get that gray first. And then we're going to pull in that cadmium yellow. And the warmth of that yellow will give us a nice khaki color. So between the brown and this khaki, we're going to have some really lovely shades here for our T-Rex. And then we'll probably also work in just little hints of black for shadowing when we need to. Alright, so I've got my little bit brush here. Grab just a tiny touch of the water. And I'm going to go ahead and pick out the light parts first in the trace. So I want to make sure I maintain those. So again, a little bit, tiny touch of water on the brush. We're going to go into that khaki first. And let's go ahead and block out some of these areas that are a little bit lighter. And just a touch more of that warmth of the yellow in there as well. So there are just little sections in here that are just kind of touched with a little bit of that lighter warmth. For the most part, the T-Rex will be that darker shade of brown. And again, just kind of blocking this in just as a reference so I know where these highlights are. And then I can always kind of work back in a softer blend. As we're painting this, it will be more softly blended in with the darker shades of brown. But right now we just don't want to get it too dark and not remember where our highlights are. think I've got just about all of them in place. We have a nice section of this in here. Alright, so it looks a little bit crazy right now. It certainly does. But it's about to look a lot tighter. Alright, coming back in with another little bit here. And that little touch of black and a little touch of the brown. And then I'm going to do a quick little rotation here, end of the brush. That rotates it in a nice fine point. I also don't want to lose my eye, so I'm going to go ahead and tap that out so I know where that is. Alright, then we're going to start to outline here, come around the shape. Again, just a nice little outline. Hello, honey bear. I'm painting a T-Rex. Now we had little spikes up here too, so we're going to make sure we get those in. So, grabbing a little bit more water, the darkest shade of black, and it's like making little tiny triangles up here. Aren't those cute? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and connect those little shadow lines. And we had a few little teeth in here, so I'm going to do those little triangles down right in there. Same thing here, we don't want to lose our little teeth, so a few little triangles. And this is mostly with the black and my little bit brush. And then let's do that outline. And that little bit of water in with the paint, and then again just continually twist it out at the top to get a nice fine point, and that will help you get a nice smooth fluid line with your black. I'm going to make these tiny little pterodactyl arms, or not pterodactyl, T-Rex, sorry. Oops, T-Rex. There's our little baby arm. Now I'm kind of following those little lines that we had with the black. And then the remainder, see, we'll fill in with the lighter brown. So again, it does all look a little bit crazy in these preliminary stages, but it will all make sense here in a minute. And keep that water flowing with that little bit more of the black and the brown mix. Almost looks a little bit like a tiger mix right now, which could be kind of a fun little T-Rex if you just wanted to go that direction. But I will go ahead and fill this in with the brown to make it a bit more realistic. Go. And more lines. Again, still working in a little bit of the blackish brown, the outlines, and then the detailing of the shadows. And this is that little tail that comes across. Alright, so we've got a good foundation. Now we're going to come in with the brown. A lot more of the brown. So again, our brown was that mix of the orange and the black. And I am going to need more of that, so a few more dollops of that, and then let's grab more black. Right, now we're going to paint this into the rest of the shape. So that this is our brown now. You know what, I'm going to grab a little bit of this cadmium yellow just so I can warm up some and make it a little bit lighter when I need to. So again, that cadmium yellow, let's back up there. I grabbed a little bit more of this to mix with the brown to warm it up for a lighter brown, because sometimes I want to play with the lighter brown and the darker brown in the mix here. Still using my little bit brush, and let's grab a little bit of water to make sure it's very fluid, easy to move. And if it gets too transparent, you can always lay the brush more over on the side And it's in a little bit of that dry brush, so I'm going to push in a little bit more of the water, make that a bit more fluid. Smooth that in so you can see that a little bit more. There we go. My phone's making some noises. I have a charger that's going out. Disconnect that so it's not, I don't know if y'all can hear that or not, but and hello again to everybody out there joining us. Yeah, I cannot, when I come through on Zoom, I cannot see the comments right now, so I will be sure to reply after the class. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Again, still working with a little bit, and then the darker browns, and then sometimes I'll switch to a warmer brown to kind of go back and forth and work the two together. go into a little bit more black up here at the top to rework into the outline. Kind of pull that down into the mix here. And I'm going to grab a little bit more of the Cadmium Yellow just to kind of pull in a highlight here and there with blending. This kind of makes for a nice thing to work in. Nice soft blending tool, kind of work that in almost like a shape of a parentheses there. And still continuing to use a lot of the water in the mix to keep the paint fluid and filling into the little porous areas of the canvas. Again, more of that cadmium yellow. I just hit right into it and then almost do like a little tiny, like a parenthesis shape into the curve of that muscle tone that's happening there. And I'm going to go right back into this leg here. But I have to be careful to create a little bit of contrast between the leg and the tail. So I'm going to lighten up right before the tail with some of that cadmium yellow so that you can see where the tail begins and the leg is behind it. And I'll be careful to do the same thing here. So we've got some really good progress on our T-Rex here with the coloring here in the body. Lighten up a little bit around the eye here so I don't lose that shape. So we'll go and add a little bit more warmth of that cadmium yellow in the mix. I'm touching into a little bit more of the black, kind of working into some of those shadows again. And then I'll re-blend with the lighter brown. And that cadmium yellow. It's looking really good. Lovely. My little pterodactyl. Keep calling it a pterodactyl. This is a T-Rex. Sorry. Our little T-Rex is so cute. Okay. So here we go. Now we're going to work on the landscape down below. Alright, so I have some beautiful green grass to work in. Alright, so let's go ahead and use some bright yellow green. Nice nickel-sized dollop of that. And let's also grab some Viridian. And some Cadmium Green. And some primary yellow for some highlights in there. And we still have a lot of white nearby, so that might also come in handy. Okay, so now going back to my mama brush, and let's do some of this cadmium green and some bright yellow green. And a little bit of white. Again, where this is got some line work, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water. Still want to go right through, but it does create a little bit of transparency so I can still see behind there, so I don't have to do the cut-in work. again, it is bright yellow green, little touch of white, and some cadmium green. Little touch of water. Using a little bit of water to lift off the foot there because I had a little bit of overlap. I want to make sure and stay off the top there. Alright, now we have a little bit of shadow happening here too on the ground, so I'm going to go ahead and touch into that Viridian over here. Makes it quite a bit darker. And then I'm going to go ahead and extend that on those little lines there. Again, just a little touch of Viridian on the edge. And there at the base. Kind of lightly just drag that across in a horizontal stroke. Now I'm going to touch into that pure violet over here to the side. I'm just going to go right across the horizon line there. Here. So it's just our violet. It's right there across the edge. So rinse out. Actually one more, actually a little bit of white and that violet. Let's go right back in. I missed this little section right in through here. Now we're going to blend back into that. A little bit of our light green, the light cadmium. Softly blend into that. And go back into the Viridian again, which is that really dark shade, almost like a dark teal. And I'm going to work that back underneath the foot here and into the shadow. Take that all the way across. Alright, now we have a little bit of some texture to do, so I'm going to take my little buddy brush here And I've got an old one here that I'm using for fun. And I'm going to tap into my greens, my lighter green here, cadmium green. And I'm just going to kind of tap, tap, tap over the surface area to give it a little bit of texture on our grass. And let's go into that Viridian too, just a little bit, and tap that in there. So this helps relieve some stress, get a little bit of that tapping done. Give some nice texture to the grass. Go into that little bit of yellow here too and add some little accents in here. Little highlights every now and again. We still have some little plant life that's going to come up through here, so I'm going to kind of leave that open. A little bit of yellow, work that in. So basically I'm working in all the greens, the bright yellow green, the cadmium green, the Viridian, and then even a little bit of that primary yellow. I'm just doing a lot of tapping on the side of the brush, just a nice easy way to create some texture. And this darkness that I'm creating, adding in, let's pull that up a little bit. That's a little bit more of that Viridian again. more tap, tap, tap. Alright, so that's looking really good. Now I'm going to switch back over to my little bit brush. We're going to go ahead and create the different plant life that comes up. So I'm going, we'll see, I've got my blue, and I have a lot of Viridian, I have a lot of white. Oh, it's good, so I may have everything I need. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to just create a little bit of a turquoise color. So I've got my white, my Viridian, and a little bit of blue. It's kind of hardened up on the outside, but let's get that to, let's mix all that together. Alright, so good, we're getting some pretty turquoise there. Lovely, okay. I'm going to go in with that soft mint, and I'm going to go pull this up into a nice fine point. Kind of wiggle it a little bit. And same thing here. So start from the base of the plant, kind of pull it up to a nice fine point, wiggle the brush a little bit. Do the same thing one more time over here. Pull up from the top, lift it off with a light hand. A little bit of peekaboo happening, so I'm going to eliminate that. Same thing here. Let's go with a little bit more of that violet. And let's create a little bit of a shadow in there. Just a little bit more of the blue. Just a little bit of a shadow. Alright, so there we go. Really fun. Let's see, what else? Taking a look here at my little model of inspiration. I think we can call this done and then sign our masterpiece here. So when you get to the very end, you can use your little bit brush. And I'm going to grab a little bit of water and mix that in with the black. It's a nice contrasting color. And you want to make sure and spin the head of the brush out, nice fine point. And then I will go ahead and just sign. Ta-da, there it is. Alright, we are done with our cute little T-Rex. So, okay, so we have this as a painting kit on our website, tipsyartist.com. And now, of course, I'll leave this lesson up for you forever, so you can come back and do this anytime, whenever you'd like. So again, anything you need, tipsyartist.com. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And I just want to wish everybody a super beautiful day. And then I'll be coming back to paint again tomorrow. I'll be doing some, a little bit of a Batman series. So it'll be kind of fun. I'll have one with Batman and then one with Batman and Robin, so that'll be fun too. So I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. But y'all have a beautiful rest of the day, and we will see you soon. Love y'all. Toodles.